So welcome, Holger. Hopefully everything works. And this looks very good. Perfect.
So, hi, Thomas. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining and making it possible in your quite tough schedule. So really looking forward. And thanks for going this interactive format with a lot of real-time reactions and answers, and really looking forward to the discussion. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Thomas, again, and really looking forward for the discussion. And we are starting off with not a presentation, although you might see now some PowerPoint, but it's fully interactive. Yeah, so we're gonna need your participation today. There's no content slides. You will hear the content verbally today, and we are open for your questions. But before we come to your questions and the debate, I'm gonna ask you 10 questions, and I'm interested in your answers today. So this is an interactive start. So don't fall asleep. Join the discussion now. So, and how does it work? Let's have a look. There is either a QR code or a website you can visit. So you go to slido.com, or you take now a picture with your smartphone of the QR code and join there. And then you're gonna need the PIN 746910. And we'll have the QR code and the web address on the following slides as well. So if somebody's joining later, feel free to do so. Maybe someone can also post it in the group chat so that everyone who is coming late or who did not note down the PIN can still join. So let's have a look at the first question. And I'm coming from the aftermarket side of ZF Group, working now in the aftermarket for almost 15 years. And the aftermarket often being an afterthought, and it shouldn't be. So people think it's just like a packaging parts that we are producing for the automotive industry, but at the end it's more. And it needs to be an integrated lifecycle solution. And there we come to our first question, and maybe we can have a look at it. And you will see the results flying in. So the first question is, how do you consider aftermarket in your connectivity business? So think about your company, your business case, your topic you're working on. So are you saying it's a key element, and it has always been? Are you saying, yeah, we do have some connections to the aftermarket, but we see more potential? Do you want to further understand it? So kind of are interested in the topic, but you do not really have an opinion? Or do you say, no, it's not part at all of our offering. We are an OEM company, and aftermarket is not part of our connectivity. And of course, there's always going to be, for all of the 10 questions, none of the above. And then I'm interested to hear, maybe you put it in the chat to say, I have a different perspective. I do not relate to one of the suggested answers. And I'm already happy to see that some of you, it's changing position once leading answer. So there was a change in the position. So now we see that, we see some links on the aftermarket side, but and we want to further integrate seems to be the leading answer. And how do we do that at ZF Group? So we consider the aftermarket and connectivity being closely linked, offering further potential for ZF as a company, but especially for our customers. So the aftermarket is becoming totally connected. Think of the workshops going digital. Think of the fleets needing fleet management solutions. Think of OEMs offering aftermarket services end-to-end, digitalized. So everything from workshop booking, CRM in the workshop, fleet management, service scheduling, But then having all these crosslinks, yeah, think of over-the-air diagnostics always being a key aftermarket business, and now being integrated in connectivity solutions and working together with OE systems. Think about the different needs of fleets, yeah, starting with a key requirement to reduce TCO. And of course, connected solutions can help you to manage your total cost of ownership, as fuel consumption and as repair and maintenance and other life cycle costs are a key component of the TCO calculation. So that's already a good start. And in the following, I would like to understand, like, how do you see the future impact of the cases scenario? And in cases, we start with the letter C, connectivity. Of course, it's already in connected business, so we go to the second letter, autonomous. Yeah. So how will the cases scenario and there the autonomous vehicle impact your connectivity business? So feel free to update your question and then enter it. And the question here is, do you see having that as a real impact on your connectivity business? So autonomous vehicles, also meaning autonomous fleet management with artificial intelligence, scheduling services for you, doing intelligent smart routing and logistics optimization to improve the utilization of, for example, capacities and trailers and trucks, or on ships, or on trains. So really think broad. Or are we saying, no, these are two rather disconnected fields, and we see it's like more or less 1/3, 2/3, saying that yes, autonomous vehicles will clearly shape also what we offer as connected vehicles. From a ZF Group perspective, for example, you can take the example of new supercomputers, of the software-defined vehicle. For example, the ZF solution Pro AI, which is a supercomputer for the next generation mobility, for the next generation vehicles, the software-defined vehicle. And of course, you could think of service use cases, maintenance use cases, where these supercomputers controlling key features of the car, like the autonomous driving, then connect with the service ecosystem, with the aftermarket ecosystem. So what if this car needs a service or inspection? And by the way, many autonomous fleets, especially the ones, for example, being managed by train and mobility companies, have very high requirements on how often do you inspect the vehicle, an autonomous vehicle, like a people mover, like the ZF shuttle, you might know, that autonomous people mover, which is driverless on the streets. How often do you do an inspection? In many cases, even daily, because it's a safety feature, it's a security feature, and you want to check your sensors every night in the depot. And of course, that depot could be an autonomous depot that kind of service robots do the cross-check, maybe even the cleaning, the sensor calibration at night. So the next day, you have 100% safety level again, and you have everything checked in your inspection. And that autonomous vehicle could then communicate directly with the service ecosystem. Let's look at one of the other letters in cases. When we look at the E in the what we call the cases era, we talk about the electric future. And again, a question, and please participate. So how do you see it? Will the electric mobility, electric vehicles have an impact on your connectivity business, on your solutions? And again, this is a field where we are very much engaging at ZF, and it's an interesting question to ask, like, will an e-powertrain, an e-drive, a system with battery needing charging, etc., will that impact your business on the connectivity side? So do you need a separate solution? And is everyone answering 100? Do we have a 100% answer, or does it mean, oh no, I can see here it's already 20 people. So obviously it's a very clear picture here, a clearer picture than we had on autonomous, where we had the 2/3, 1/3, saying, oh, definitely the e-mobility trend with being smart and route optimization, battery performance management, smart charging, connecting with the ecosystem, a sharing economy, etc., will have an impact. So this is I think I do not have to advocate on this one
Yes.
to convince you that it's definitely
Seems like
a part of the ecosystem. So let's move to our question number 4. And the question number 4 is about what we add as the 5th letter in the so-called cases future. So C being connected, A being autonomous, S being shared, E being electric, and the second S being sustainable. So do you see a key role for the connectivity businesses in managing sustainability? And do you already integrate it, yeah, or is that not a topic on your agenda to say becoming carbon neutral, enabling a green life cycle, including a green aftermarket, yeah, so carbon free, especially, but also other aspects like plastic free, high share of recycled materials. How do you see connectivity there in these solutions? Yeah, it could be use cases like, do we understand the status of different systems, for example, of an e-motor, of an e-axle, and do we understand if that electric battery or other system can be remanufactured, can be refurbished and reused, or would it be a better case to be recycled for that electric battery? So these are the questions that you can also do by then connecting to your smart parts and smart system connected systems in the vehicle. And the last letter we didn't discuss yet is the shared economy letter, and I have 2 questions, so that's why I put it at the end. So how do you see that the shared economy is impacted your connectivity business cases? So shared economy meaning sharing vehicles, enabling new business models, like you all know, these flat rates where you pay a certain fee, often per use or per month, instead of paying a one-time sum for your vehicle. And there on the ZF side, we have interesting solutions enabling trailer sharing, for example, so truck trailers, which might be shared across the economy, also part of the shared economy, not passenger cars in this case, but trucks. So the question is, can you share to one fleet with other fleets as long as it's unused? And then there's remote security features, unlocking the trailer, of course also tracking the trailer, GPS location, and so on. And all again managed by fleet management solutions, like for example the Transix system from ZF Lobco or our colleagues. And the second question on shared economy is a bit different, and shared economy meaning a change in decision making. So we see a change in decision making, or you can also call it the rise of the fleets. Does that influence your connectivity business? So do you see fleets as a key decision maker with increasing importance? So is your company saying, or are you personally saying, we should do more with fleets and shift away from others? Do you see the different customer groups of equal importance, including private vehicle owners, fleets, OEMs, logistics operators, and others? Because you say, no, it's for us, the fleet is not the key element. It's more also looking into what do private vehicle owners and drivers need? what do maybe your customers are directly the OEMs, what do they need, or you're working for logistic operators? Or are you saying fleet is out of our target group? So far, nobody's saying that. We see a first trend here. Yeah? I personally believe that we're gonna see a rise of the fleets in the relevance, especially if you look for the aftermarket solutions. So the aftermarket solutions, and why is that the case? From an OE perspective, about 10% of all vehicles in 2030 will be fleet owned. But as they drive 6 times the mileage of an average private vehicle, they will account for roughly 40% of the maintenance and service business. So the aftermarket will shift heavily towards fleets, as I said, 6 times the mileage. This will also increase the focus that we need to have as an industry on this target group, as you need to have solutions targeting these professional B2B fleets. And there are, again, the fleet management solutions. And if you look into what ZF is doing, for example, in that new corporation with Goodyear on fleet management, on connected solutions, where our systems that are on the truck and trailer also connect with the tire pressure management systems and the sensors in the smart tires of companies like Goodyear, and then offering holistic solutions targeting fleets again. And there the key advantage is listening to these customers. Of course, they have a TCO requirement. They have a very much uptime requirement. For fleets, uptime is key. And uptime is, of course, an aftermarket issue. So making sure that they get a quick and reliable and affordable service across the globe. And for that uptime management, of course, then you need the remote and over-the-air diagnostics. You need, again, the integration with aftermarket business processes and services like service scheduling, parts ordering, in order to keep the downtime low and the uptime high. So looking into our next question, and the next question is around different vehicle systems. I talked about trucks already. I talked a bit about pass car, talked a bit about trailers. So question is, and this is not a right or wrong question, yeah, it's more a question to understand, like, what is the audience about? Where do you focus with your mind? Do you focus on the mass commercial markets, fleet management for commercial vehicles, heavy and light commercial vehicles? So this is typically the fleet customers having heavy and light commercial vehicles, often mixed. Do you focus on the mass market in order to scale, so the life cycle solutions for pass cars? So do you see your future in the pass cars? Do you pick the attractive niche cases? And let me show you talk about some niche cases that ZF has. One of it being Bus Connect. Bus Connect, a solution where you have an onboard unit, a connected unit, and a full connectivity for bus operators in the cloud, where you can then manage and connect a bus and apply several different use cases. For example, improving the driver practices of the bus driver. You can, but also aftermarket business cases like proactive vehicle inspection, remote diagnostics again, access to vehicle data. You can have different user interfaces. You have, of course, the logbook of your bus fleet. You have condition monitoring. So there are different elements. Another niche case, even a smaller niche, is a product called ZF Rescue. So very interesting product if you're interested in special niches. And the ZF Rescue Connect is a system for rescue vehicles. So for example, fire trucks and medical vehicles. Again, very interesting, combining onboard units, mobile service units, and also connecting the equipment and the rescue crew, so firemen and medics, with a cloud and an ecosystem where you then kind of can connect all the different data from an incident, from equipment, from the vehicles involved, for example, in fire services, or from patients if you talk about medic services. And this is again a discussion you can have, like what is your right to play in the fleet market. Now looking into the next question, and here we have a very colorful picture. Love it. Thanks for participating. How do you see ecosystem partnerships in connected mobility solutions, especially also when you think of the aftermarket and lifecycle solutions? So do you prefer to offer closed solutions, so secure, safe, often cybersecurity being an issue in connectivity cases? Do you work with platform solutions, more open and offering third parties to play a key role, but you want to make sure that you own the platform and that you are the one granting access, etc.? Are you fine with different roles, also with a minor role in some use cases, to say, I accept that somebody else is building the ecosystem and I'm just focusing on a special feature, on a special attribute? So interesting to see where the audience is going. It's really surprising sometimes, yeah, that we have very mixed pictures here.
We should ask this question maybe every year.
Excuse me?
Sorry, like we should just ask the same question like year by year and see like how this developed. I would love this question.
How this developed could be an interesting exercise. And if you would ask me, like what would I choose, or what would ZF Aftermarket choose? I'd say we are definitely open for all kinds of different roles, and especially ecosystem partnership across the globe. One that I already mentioned is the Goodyear partnership, that ecosystem. But we are not talking about exclusive partnerships only, especially when it also comes to the aftermarket. Then another one that we have on e-mobility now is with the CATL, one of the leading or the leading electric vehicle manufacturer, which also includes data collection, remote diagnostics, and connecting the EV battery to the fleet management cloud. So let's take one more as we come to an end already. My second last question, from your perspective, and this is one question I'm very much interested in. What's your largest challenge in developing a successful connectivity business? Is it scaling fast? Is it best solving customer use cases? We are all debating use cases for years now. Is it access to vehicle data? Because you might say, oh, it's restricted, it's hard to get. Is financing your key issue? Often there we discuss about hockey stick business cases, and you don't get the money to do it. None of the above, please put it in the chat. So what's your largest challenge in developing a successful connectivity business? There I cannot give just one answer. Yeah, it's hard to say. Definitely getting access to vehicle data is key, but there are different ways. You can, as I said, like you can get it by your own systems, like the ZF Pro AI, other computer software systems like the ZF Cubics, which is managing, it's also connected and managing vehicle motion control in the chassis, or other own systems, like for example our commercial vehicle systems that are connected with the cloud, or the transmission that are connected via our ZF Testman diagnostics. Also, we think of different marketplaces. We think of OEM contracts where you get data from OEMs, aftermarket players providing data like workshop chains or distributors. So there's a variety where you can get data, but I think it's a hard one. And it's still finally decided. We are all waiting for the EU Data Act to clarify some of the open topics, who can decide who owns data in the connectivity space from telematics. But obviously the slight majority is saying scaling fast, which is always the case if you think we are in a winner takes it all business on connectivity, and definitely it has to do something with that some winners might be in a role to really disrupt and control the market of the future. And now the last one, and the last one is a good one for you. You have one wish. So if you had one wish for your connectivity business, what would it be? More customers, more connected vehicles, unlimited data access, better partnership, a better product, all of the because it's like just one wish. You are all carefully listening, and none of the above. Yeah, maybe then again put it in the chat to see how it goes. So obviously, some of you listening to my appeal for ecosystem partnerships. That's good. Most wanting all of the above. Which is understandable. Better product has to do with our use cases again. It doesn't seem to be a lack of customers. Yeah, it's also data access is obviously not the key challenge most of you are facing and the key wish you. So interesting. So this is our final impression picture. Looking forward for the discussion here on stage and later in the second hour also at these various tables, and I'll hop from table to table later. So Thomas.
Thanks, Holger. I think